The Kelowna market right now is a traffic jam. People want to move, but they can't buy until someone buys from them first. And the person who would buy from them? Same problem. So nothing moves. For the first quarter of the year, this market has felt stuck. But here's the questions. Does that actually hurt prices? And now that we're about a month into the spring market, is anything starting to break loose? Today, we're going to go through the actual data. Benchmark prices for single-family homes, townhomes, and condos, what sales are doing, and what all of it means if you're trying to make a smart decision right now in Kelowna. Let's start with the number of residential sales. 2026 has had a better start to the year than either of the last 2 years, and in fact, we're up 6% year over year in March from what we were this time last year. We are below what the sales were in 2023, but it is encouraging to see that we're starting the year off stronger than the last 2 years. Generally, through the spring, sales do increase, but we are up, as you can see, kind of up over the last 2 years in March, and the hope is that the activity continues to grow through April up into May and June. If we break it down by category, there were 160 single-family detached home sales in March in the central Okanagan, which is up 8% from this time last year. There were 62 townhome sales, which is up 1.6%, and there was 104 condo sales in March, which is up 13% year over year, which is encouraging for that condo market, which feels like it's the most stuck in this area. Prices have come down in that class, so it seems like there's more options available, especially for first-time buyers. By the way, this video is part of an exclusive collaboration with top real estate YouTubers from across Canada. We're each breaking down what's really happening in our local markets, the stuff you won't hear on the evening news or read in some generic market report. If you want a real inside look at what's going on beyond Kelowna, make sure you check out all the videos linked below. These aren't just random creators either. These are people who know their markets inside and out. And if we look at the inventory, we are starting 2026 below the inventory levels that we had last year. It does generally increase throughout the spring months and taper off at the end of the year, but inventory is a little bit tighter this year than it was last year. And if we look at the months of inventory, this number has been tightening up over the last couple of months. A balanced market is anywhere from 4 to 6 months of available inventory. In that 0 to 3 months would be considered a seller's market, and anything over 6 months is considered a buyer's market. We've been in a buyer's market for a long time, but as you can see in the single family market, we were at 9 months of available inventory in February, and that's tightened up to 7 months of available inventory in March. Another way that you could look at this is if there's 7 months of available inventory, that means that 1 out of every 7 homes listed on the market is selling in any 30-day period. The townhome market has seen inventory shrink a little bit, and this, for both of these categories, is probably a product of more sales in each of these asset classes. But in February, there was almost 8 months of available inventory in townhomes, and that number has come down to 6.3 months in March. We're inching closer and closer to a balanced market in the townhome market right now. And in the condo market, we had 9.5 months of available inventory in February. We're down to 7.3 months in March. If you remember back a few months ago, this number inched up as close to 12 months of available inventory sometime around November and December. So to recap, across the market in the central Okanagan, we are still in a buyer's market. So you're probably wondering, what has this done with prices? Starting with the composite benchmark price, this is the benchmark price for all asset classes combined. This one bottomed out in December at about 773,000. There's been a little bit of volatility over the last quarter, but you can see generally this price has been inching up. It is about $23,000 less than it was this time last year though, so that price is down from where we were this time last year. If we stretch that out over the last 5 years, the composite benchmark price in the Okanagan is still down almost 14% from where it was at the market peak. However, if you go back to January 2023, that's kind of the bottom of where the last market correction was, prices are up slightly from where they were at that time. but again, they are down from where they were this time last year. Taking a look at the benchmark price for a single family detached home, it was down almost 1% in March from February and came in at 1,047,000, which is down from 1,056,000. Year over year, that price is down 2.3%. This time last year, we were at about 1,072,000. This year, it's 1,047,000. If we graph that out over the last 12 months or going back to last January, prices last spring had started to inch up until we hit August. Then there was a steady decline into November. Prices from December and January did start to inch up a little bit again, but then over the last 2 months, that price in the single family detached home market has started to come down again. We're down about $30,000 from where we were last August and about the same from where we were last March. And if we look at that over the last 5 years, prices for single family detached homes are down almost 14% from the market peak. But if we go back to the end of that last correction in September of 2022, prices are up slightly from that time, but really this is not a lot of price change over the last 4 years. And in the townhome market, this market continues to exhibit a lot of volatility. From February to March, it went up 8%. But if you remember from, I think it was January to February or December to January, it went up 8%, then it came back down. But month over month, this price is up 8%. And in March, the benchmark price of a townhome came in at $725,000. Going out to last year, though, that price is down 3.4% year over year. If we graph out over the last year, this is that volatility that I was talking about. Prices are down from where they were last March. They kind of peaked last year in November where they jumped up that 8%. Then from November to December, they dipped down. Prices leveled out and they've gone up again. It's really hard to predict what this market is doing on a month by month basis because there's so much volatility there. But prices did come up from February to March, and we'll have to see if that's a new trend or if they come back down again. If I drew a trend line over this entire graph, prices are down slightly from the last 12 months. And if we stretch that out over the last 5 years, this segment is also down 13.5% from the market peak. The last bottom of the correction was March 2023, where we were at about 717,000. Lots of spikes and valleys in this market, but I do think that there's a general trend of prices softening here if you were to draw a line from last March. But again, we'll have to keep an eye on what happens in April with prices in this segment to see if there's a new trend or if it was just another 1 month spike. We've seen a lot of those 1 month spikes in the townhome market over the last 5 years. And finally, in the condo market, not much change from February to March. It was down 0.1%, and in March, the benchmark price of a condo came in at $471,800. Year over year, though, that price is down almost 6%. This time last year, we were around $500,000. This year, we're at that $471,000. And if we plot that out over the last 12 months, you can see the condo market continues to soften. There was some strength, kind of like in the single family home market last spring, prices went up, but since about June of last year, prices have been coming down. I do think that that spike that we saw in January was an anomaly. It's not the general trend. Prices went up quickly and came back down. But if we eliminate that outlier, there is a general trend in the condo market that things are coming down. It is encouraging for condo owners that from February to March, that price was mostly flat. I like to see 3 or 4 months of a trend in prices before we decide what direction it's actually heading in. But if we factor in December, February, and March, prices have been pretty flat here, and this could signal that this market is starting to find a bottom. Going out over the last 5 years, though, just like the other categories, condo prices are down 14% from the market peak. The last correction around March 2023, they bottomed out at 482. We are a little bit lower than that now, but again, this segment of the market hasn't shown much consistent change over the last 3 years. And lastly, if we look at the price ratio, this is the ratio that a home that does sell sells for, the selling price versus what the last listing price was. In single family homes, you're around 97%, townhomes a little bit closer to 98%, and condos are just below 97%. But what you can gather from this information is that in general, a buyer can expect on average to get about 3% off the last list price as what their accepted offer price could be. So what does all of this actually tell us? Well, sales are up year over year, and buyers are moving when the price and the property make sense. But inventory is elevated, and prices are still sliding across all three categories. And we're firmly in buyer's market territory, no matter what you're looking at. The traffic jam I described at the start of this video is showing up in the data, but it's starting to loosen up. If you're a seller right now, pricing matters more than ever. You're not competing against where this market was in 2022, you're competing against what's actually available today, and there's a lot of it. And if you're a buyer, the numbers are telling you something worth paying attention to. Prices are down meaningfully from the peak across every property type, and you have options. And if you want to understand what any of this means for your specific situation, reach out to me anytime. That's what I'm here for. And if you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. I put out a market update every month, so you always know exactly what's going on in the Kelowna real estate market. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.